Yeah, those dogs are amazing, man. I mean, and speaking of dogs, so is the jury out? Did they get all the dogs out of Afghanistan or not?
I think so. Either that or we're going to see Sarah McLachlan singing
Yeah.
another teardrop.
Well, I know the Army said they did. The the government security DSD said they got theirs
Then it
out.
must be true.
Yeah, then it's got to be true. Yeah.
No, I heard a deal on Friday. It's funny you mentioned that. I heard a deal on Friday where it wasn't a Humane Society. It was somebody else like the Humane Society. They had rented a plane and gotten pretty much all the working dogs on planes and out of there. So that was the latest.
Well, I know from what I heard is that the military left. They took all their dogs. They took all their good stuff. They took their stuff with them.
Right.
They cleaned. They took out, and then you had the DSD, the other government services that took their dogs out, and you had the diplomatic security group. They got their.
I think a lot of them were just like range dogs that showed up at locations, and people took them in.
Potentially, yeah. Because I mean, some bases had like their base mascot dog.
Yeah, base mutt, whatever. Yeah.
Not leaving that behind.
No.
Got on the plane
first. That's who they got out. That's actually who they got out Friday, from what I understood.
As far as this is crazy. I mean, that's such a. So I have a friend that's over there. He just got back from Qatar, and he has contractors he's trying to get out, and I don't know, man. That's an abomination that should not be left unchecked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a clusterfuck up of magnitude of 10.
And you got to think about it. This is really smart from the opposition side of the political party that's in power now. They've basically pulled at the heartstrings of voter base of saying, look here, your people left dogs. This is about the crappiest thing you can do.
That's true.
It's kind of a pull across the board. So whoever came up with that strategy is fairly ingenious in my book.
I think it's funny right now with some of the things that I read lately, where I was like, you know what, the Taliban has, as a group and as a reporting topic, hasn't got this much play since they fucking since they became part of the American psyche.
Oh, they're the new PR darling.
Yeah,
people. To me, they're going to start creating their own. I think you'll start seeing a lot of stuff come out of Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera will always be kind of a positive voice for that region of the world.
They will, and so I think that's what they're gonna. And my point is, that's who they're gonna use to promote their positive PR.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Look, we're trying to be civil here. They're gonna show pictures of them letting women go to school and play soccer.
No, I don't think
so.
That's
you don't think so? I think they are.
No.
I don't.
So
I don't.
I just read something probably yesterday where they were to your point about school and soccer or whatever. So they're saying that they're not, the women are going to retain their rights over there, but they also ordered all the women to stay home from work.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think they're going to show that to you. I'm not saying they're going to do it.
Right.
I'm saying they're going to show it to you on TV and saying, here it is. And they'll pick a little group of girls and let them go to class.
I think that is so against what they believe
I do
in.
too. I just don't see it.
To them to
You may get the veil of that, but behind the scenes, they're not going to let that shit happen.
I don't think they're going to let it happen behind the scenes either. But here's why I'm saying they're going to do that. They've got a taste of the money. They are seeing now that we can get funded. We can get humanitarian aid. We can get cash. And that's why they're going to allow this to come out. They're going to say, "Look, we're moderates.
So we can have a Taliban Olympic team now in the Olympics."
Can you see a hurdler running in a veil jumping?
Oh, dude. So in the Japanese Olympics, we're going to have Taliban.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the representatives from Taliban.
So the 2 points. So the one of the things that I'm curious about, only because from my time there, was if you're an Afghan national, that demographic is so dependent on outside money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious to see how they get along when that infusion is gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and the second thing is, so right now with now the Taliban has become sort of they're relying on the infrastructure that they have, and and so we were talking about planes flying in and out of there earlier, and so I was like I said this is probably a grasping at straws here, but for me, if I know that I've got a fucking plane coming out of Kia or Kandahar, any public airports. Now, I don't personally believe this is what's going on, but there is no plane that's coming out of fucking Afghan proper and landing at a goddamn U.S. airport.
There it is. So my friend was on his flight, and they had just opened up that airport. There's the first flight landing at Kabul, 8 a.m. yesterday.
What and landing
commercial
in Kabul.
Yeah, he's saying
So
coming
I'm talking
out
about
of.
coming
It's
out of.
they're turning it around.
Turning.
So he's flying in and out. He's not going to Kabul. He's actually going to Qatar. I mean,
Yes.
he's going to. So the flight going into Kabul, this is an inbound flight on the screen on the back of his seat
Qatar.
going into Kabul.
When I was in Afghanistan, Qatar had just been officially made.
Gate
like,
E18.
it was like I think it was like the diplomatic home of Taliban.
Yeah.
And like
So this is kind of they're kind of like France during Vietnam, where everybody met to hang out and.
So their whole goal is to get that airport. They're spending a lot of time
Not
and money
France
getting
in the
that,
beginning.
flipping that airport around right now. And the French and some other countries helping them do this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, the thing is I mean, being an airport, I mean,
it's going to be on HGTV. Flip this airport.
if your role, if your job is to like generate income from offering these services, to me that's just a long roll of the dice.
Yeah.
When you're
Oh,
flying,
absolutely.
That's just fucking crazy.
And that's what I go back to with my whole proposal. I know I'm outgunned here, but my whole proposal is they'll see the money and they'll want the money more than they want the religion. That's what at the top.
I think you'll see
that's
it-
where the
show it,
leadership
though-
comes from.
So here's the problem, though. If they show that they're waning, it diminishes the legitimacy of their efforts.
Not really, because who watches TV in Afghanistan?
I would think so. I would think that globally. Well, I know
Globally, it helps them.
I know what you're
Locally, it
trying to
doesn't.
say, but the Taliban are very. They may put up a front, they may put up a poster, but I don't think you're going to see any live person doing that shit. I think it's going to be a dude dressed in a. I think it's going to be dudes in a burqa.
I am curious because I still think that money is going to be a driver.
That's my point.
So they're building this superhighway from China through Pakistan.
They were doing that when I was there.
Exactly. So they got this whole thing worked out, and then the Russians are building in this huge base. They're extending runways. They're making these bases bigger. You've got this entire mineral-rich region. To your point,
which is why they built the railroad.
Exactly. So to your point, that's going to build this. You have to have the Taliban in control.
Yep.
In order for that to do that, but I just don't see them being like come to Kabul commercials.
No.
I just don't see like
come to sunny Kabul.
Yeah, I just don't see the commercials like come to sunny
treat you
Vegas,
right.
Because I really don't think they give a shit. I think they know that they'll get their money from the Chinese, they'll get their money from the Pacs,
they'll get
their
us.
money from the Russians, and they'll get it from us.
Yeah,
because I mean I'm not a conspiracy guy per se, but. Dude, that was too blatant of a fuck up to be a fuck up.
Absolutely.
That was too blatant to be a fuck up.
I agree with that.
That was just no way.
This has been a known.
Yeah.
It's been a known for at least 2 or 3 months.
Right.
At minimum. That's my thought.
It's
I
sad.
don't know. I have no problem believing Biden forgot that there were non-military people there.
I don't think he made that decision. I think that decision was made. I think that decision was made long before that happened.
I'm convinced it's an ice cream cone in the back. There's a guy with an ice cream cone going.
I do too.
Making a licking face.
So when you see him,
come on, you say what we want you to say.
When you see him collect his notebook and walk off stage, there's a dude holding an ice cream cone back there. They ring a bell. They ring a bell. He looks this way, boy. Come on, boy. And that's what he does. I'm telling you, that guy is. First of all, I think he's an animatronic. I mean, I'm joking. But he is a
Where's
shell.
Jeff Dunham? Everybody's looking for Jeff Dunham.
He's a shell of a former person,
podium.
man. This guy is toasted. He really is. There's something wrong with him mentally. But I think.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Biden.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still thinking we're talking about the Afghan with the ice cream cone.
Yeah.
And I've got freaking Six Flags commercial music playing.
Oh, with that guy dancing in the back, yeah. The Venga boys in the background dancing, yeah. Like I said, I think it was a steal of the century that went on right there. I think that was the plan from the whole get-go, because the first one was we're going to get, Trump had a pretty good plan.
Yeah.
We'll do this, and the military will be the last one out. Okay, that's kind of
that, and
pretty
it
cut
was
and dry.
all. Here's the thing about the Trump plan, and we all know this now. It was based on contingencies. We'll do this when you give us X, Y, and Z. If this doesn't happen, we're gonna blow the shit out of you, and we'll still be there.
The reason I don't buy it's a plan is apparently there was a discussion at a very high level about who was going to control Kabul in the final days.
Right.
And the Taliban really wanted America to control it. In which case America would have been in control, but they would have had to inject a fairly large number of troops
Right.
to make that happen, which they didn't want. So they put the Taliban in control, and they got what they got.
Yeah.
But I don't think they really had a plan.
So-
They didn't plan for those 13 guys to die. They didn't plan.
Oh,
for
I wouldn't say that either. I wouldn't say that either. But knowing what they are, you'd have to expect some kind of shenanigans is going to happen.
So saying what you're saying, so the Taliban approached it from the perspective of like what they did with Europe and Japan. They wanted the U.S. to rebuild Afghanistan.
No,
Is that kind of what the
no.
Taliban?
What they wanted was the handover to occur after the U.S. had finished their withdrawal.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And
now.
so it really was kind of a bizarre thing that we turned it down.
Yeah.
But his whole deal was he wanted to have them all out before we got to September 11th.
Right.
And whoever got out, got out. There's also a discussion that 100,000 folk withdrawal
Yeah.
that was just earth-shattering in its success.
Yeah.
They don't know who that was.
No,
they
right.
didn't get
No.
the right people out.
No, they've already said that. I've heard that several times
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Nobody
They-
knows
they-
who's on those planes.
They took whoever they wanted to get on.
You could be importing a Taliban force into your own country, whoever's taking
Well,
these
so
people.
Taliban is paying $2,000 a person for visas to come into the United States through the southern border.
Yeah.
That's been caught 100 times already.
Yeah.
That's just a game plan that they've always played. That game plan's been going on for a long time. I still think that
Well, it's nice to have an air troop movement for you, where you can get like
Oh,
1,000 of them
absolutely,
in here
right.
at a
Exactly.
time. You could really tear some shit up.
I think that when you look at it, I mean, the complete ineptness. I mean, the Democrats to me are always symbolism over substance. Always. It's never about. They're all driven by emotion. They're not driven by logic.
Yep.
And they make these really bad decisions that sound good in a room of their own peers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
so
there's no dissenting.
yeah, there's no dissension whatsoever. So I'm going to move to.
Now, but I will say that occurs on both sides.
Absolutely,
So,
exactly.
yes.
So I'm going to move to Lieutenant Colonel Scheller.
Okay.
So this is the Marine
Marine,
battalion guy
yeah.
that served with that battalion and got people killed. That is now in a training that has now resigned his commission, and he basically went on a rant on YouTube, ill-advised or not.
Yeah.
He basically asked for accountability. He goes, "Hey, look, we've already worked this out. We've talked about this, and you guys kind of buckled. What's going on? I want to know what's going on." And it's turned into this huge thing now, to where Scheller did 2 videos. One of them was in his uniform in his office.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
the one that they're talking about getting him a court martial.
Yeah,
over.
he was relieved of his command.
Wearing uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was relieved of his command.
Yeah.
All right. And then the second one was in a camper trailer in an undisclosed location in the woods, where it got really dark.
Yeah.
He got really dark, and I'm like, dude, this guy,
Well, that makes me wonder what phone calls he's got and stuff to
Yeah.
go that far out and
yeah,
to run that
because
deep.
what he did was, and it drew up the whole PTSD thing,
Yeah.
concern over that, to where he's like, don't send me money, send it to my wife.
Yep.
Send it to her Venmo as this, and he goes, and you guys, he says, you can push all you want, but you don't know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
When you say shit like that,
Yeah. That.
you've basically everything that you've done good over here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you've completely unhinged over here.
Right.
Because whether he didn't mean it one way or another, they're going to
How
spin
it's
it.
going to be. It's how
They're going
Perception.
I don't
Yeah.
know how you couldn't take it that way.
Right.
The moment you go down that fucking road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just fucking stop talking. You know,
Yeah,
you-
it's exactly.
But it creates a defense for him, a legal defense.
It does. It can. From a
Yeah.
good lawyer, it
Yeah.
can for sure.
How do you
Because it
think
goes
it- when-
PTSD.
that's
is
what I was going to say.
The
that one-
13 guys, the people he knew, the group he served with,
Yeah.
that was hard on a lot of people. It
Yeah.
really was. I mean, not just people that serve, but civilians that support the military.
Right.
That was kind of a betrayal. And to your point, I don't agree. I agree that it wasn't intended to kill people, but when you handle a rattlesnake, you got to know a rattlesnake will randomly bite you. So why would you let the tally? Why would you let the tally control an area? Now this was a bomb on a person that went into a controlled area to blow it up. But the tally immediately, blew up concrete barricades to close off that entrance anyway. That was Taliban did that. So all the bomber did was get the Marines out of the way. The second explosion shut down the entry gate.
It was predictable from day one of the evacuation.
Right.
We were going to get a bombing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was inevitable. The fact they didn't manage to get it on a plane is remarkable.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
With all the chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have put an end to Biden's nonsense from the Taliban perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
And it really worked just as well in some
Sure.
respects, just killing the 13.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that
but
was-
But the first day when the plane takes off with people hanging onto the outside, we obviously had no control over what was going on.
Right.
Right.
The plane would have never got off the ground with people hanging on the outside of it, you would think.
Yeah, it's so, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I saw another deal where there's more reports of the total lack of control. And this is coming from military on the ground now that they're, I don't know if the Senate or the Congress, this is coming through Congress and that's how they're interviewing these people, but they're saying the chaos on the ground was by far the worst. There was nobody in control is pretty much what they're hearing from people.
Well, I know
on
that
the ground.
there will be future hearings.
That's
on-
what I took from
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So,
I'm sure Nancy Pelosi will get to the bottom of it.
yeah, right away.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother deal there.
I get so stressed out when we go this way because I have no patience for it. I really don't.
If I can bring us back a different direction.
Sure.
Rachel Maddow posted this deal
Oh, thank you.
the other day, and this is going to make you feel so much better.
Okay,
And
because it ain't working right now.
Right. And it was really this doctor was talking about that the ODs of ivermectin
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
were making it where he could not take care of the gunshot wounds that were coming into his emergency room.
The OD, really?
Yeah, the OD off ivermectin. And we actually had a very similar discussion in the Houston Chronicle about a week ago.
Okay.
A medical professional who was supposed to be one of the biggest and brightest in that field was talking about ivermectin and how bad it was. Sadly, from my favorite Mormon, I found out it was a Nobel Prize winning drug. You don't really get that from the mainstream media. But anyway, Rachel Maddow was posting this guy's post about how the gunshot wounds were going untreated, other folks were going untreated.
People were dying.
And we needed to really refuse service
Yeah.
to these idiots that are unvaccinated and taking ivermectin.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were a couple disturbing things about that because I think this is where we end up going for a variety of reasons. But turns out that guy had not worked in the hospital he claimed to work in 2 months.
Not only that, the hospitals came back and refuted everything that he said.
Right. The hospital says it's all garbage.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow, of course, didn't care. But
They had to rescind that, by the way.
yeah,
They did.
They
Yeah.
did. But
Yeah.
but you think about how many people are getting their news through these sources that have no problem with pushing the narrative. And the other thing that they've been pushing for really the last week and a half or so is that those selfish conservatives who won't get vaccinated.
Right.
Right.
Why are we expending our medical resources on it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
And so the fact that they're about to bankrupt Medicaid much earlier than it was supposed to be bankrupted,
Right.
you begin to look at how the pieces fit together.
Yeah.
And you're going to see if they deem it your choice that created, you were the cause of the vehicle accident.
Yep. No service for you.
You're overweight. You're type 2 diabetic.
Yeah.
Gattaca.
I mean, all those things mean you don't get medical service.
Yeah.
Right.
Candace Owens just recently went through something recently like along those lines. You made a comment that somebody had to rescind something. So who had to rescind what?
They rescinded the story about the ivermectin doctor making those claims.
They came back out and said, "Yeah, we falsely reported
After
this
the hospital
fact."
came out and refuted
Okay,
it.
so not Maddow had to. So MS.
Anybody that posted that story had
Got
to.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I was a little lost on.
But that was the truth for what, 48 hours?
Yes, it was.
So-
And it makes you wonder if they were Facebook. Will these people in the future be Facebook fact checked?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Will they get shut down on social media?
So
Probably not.
It's really easy to label them as conservatives that won't take a vaccine. To me, an idiot's an idiot. If you're going to run to the vet and take animal grade any kind of medicine, you're a fucking idiot.
so
It doesn't meet the same standard because ivermectin does work. You have to go through a screening to get it. It's not like you just run out and buy it. You literally, to buy it, you have to go online, talk to a doctor, you have to get your prescription, and it's a prescribed event. Most people figure, well, if one pill's good, I'll take 3.
Right.
That's where they start getting sick. Well, you can do the same thing with vitamin C and D and any other vitamin.
Now you've got me nervous because I've been taking my dog's boner pills.
Have you?
And,
yeah.
Instead of paying $90 for Viagra.
Right.
So
go ahead.
I thought you had a female dog.
Joe Rogan recently got he was getting dragged through the mud yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
Over his whole ivermectin experience.
But he's good now.
So
and he's been vaccinated.
This one lady, I don't know, she's on her Twitter. Her name was Susan St. James, which is the first thing I'm thinking is
the actress.
Is yeah. So that was the. But anyway, her question was very simple: is why the fuck are these people pissed off the fact that Rogan got COVID and he treated it this way and he's no longer sick? Why are you mad that the fact that dude's no longer sick?
Well, and actually Rogan tested again. I don't know if you saw this. This was just today. Rogan tested again. This is days later. He doesn't have COVID.
Yeah.
So they're thinking now that he didn't have COVID.
Right.
So this one, I was like, okay, her question is kind of correct. Why the fuck are you even pissed off that this dude is not even sick? But this one dude finished his one comment and said they're mad because the people that are mad are the people that went and got the fucking shot.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
We went and did it, and he didn't. That's why.
I have 2 stories. One of them was a good friend of mine in Las Vegas. He went, and he was sick. He was having chest pains. He was sweating. He was having
the vaccine.
No. This is before.
Okay.
He was just not feeling good. So he goes to the emergency room. They swab him, test him. You're negative.
Something else.
Go home. He was feeling bad. He came back again for the second test.
Positive.
No. Swabbed him.
Oh.
Nothing's wrong. Sent him home. That dude had a myocardial infarction. He almost died of a fucking heart attack. Because they didn't look at anything else other than the COVID test.
We were so focused on
COVID that they missed that he had a heart problem.
Right.
Almost died.
Yeah.
My niece had bronchitis. Went to a doctor. You got COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in East Texas. So he's up to college. He's in college. And she goes to get her a test. No, you got bronchitis. You've never had COVID. This is the kind of bullshit that really messes with everybody's trust of the system.
But
it's like, come on, man. I mean,
yet they turn around and browbeat you and say, "Follow the science." You're an idiot if you don't follow the science. You're just some speculative nut job.
Those are just
That's
people.
What irritates
those
me.
are people with loud mouths and a megaphone, dude.
So
they don't understand.
So
when
we were at lunch, Ken made a comment about validating when you validate what an influencer has to say.
Yeah.
Right.
So, which to me, I was like, okay, to me that's a logical thing. Is if the government's tired of being the fucking mouthpiece and they fucking bless off on let's just use Alyssa Milano as our fucking example.
Sure.
Lovely.
Is
because everybody has used.
We're going to
Melissa
say
Milano.
that when we're not talking, we'll let her speak for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she already has sort of a following anyway because of her
platform.
Maybe because of her acting or whatever.
Embrace of the Vampire. That's what she has a following.
What is it?
She has a following because of Embrace of the Vampire.
I don't even know what the fuck.
And Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
This is where she exposed her breast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
She got naked.
Exposed her breast on my fucking search engine is what she did for me.
Spectacular.
And it was Poison Ivy too.
Was it? Yeah.
Okay. Not that I was a fan of
no, I got you.
Okay.
Somebody's got that on
But
DVD.
anyway, yeah. So, well, personally, I think we've probably beat this fucking conversation into the ground.
Yeah, but it's funny though. But because it went there. But it really does. Honestly, it really boils down to public trust. Of if you're so the FDA over all the years of the things they approved, they had 4,500 recalls of approvals. Think about that. Of all the things that they've approved in the last several years, they've had 4,500 recalls of those approvals because of problems downstream.
Sure.
So you have to ask yourself the validity of the approval. It was a very timely thing. It was needed to help a president. It really was. this whole thing was
Well, it's the first time that we've ever really that I've seen that I can politicize something so much that's not a political entity, and it's been politicized.
Well, and we can all agree that
sickness.
people have died definitely from this thing.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's fake or anything, but the fact that
I think we're mad at the wrong people. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I can't believe that we've allowed a disease to become a political tool. That just makes absolutely. I mean, I know we had AIDS and all that stuff.
It's the best fear mechanism on the planet. Dude.
Because of the whole science mystery.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm sorry, it's not going away. So if you want long-term control, this is a perfect vehicle because
Houston just found a new variant today. We have a new variant, Delta's.
Moo?
Yeah, Delta's gone.
We got Moo.
Yeah,
Moo.
Yeah,
it is. It is Moo.
Yeah,
Moo.
It's.
I got the Moo. I got the Moo.
I just don't want the Omega variant.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
I think we're
that
mad at the
pretty
wrong.
final.
I think we're all mad at the wrong people, though. I really do. I mean, to me, I firmly believe this was a man-manufactured. I think Rand Paul is right on the money with it.
I do too.
I think that these scientists, it got a little out of control. Somebody somewhere else used it as a mechanism to control a population. If you look at the people that are dying, they're all in their 40s to their 70s or the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I mean,
they would all be net users of medical services.
That's right. So there you go. So you have this whole target market group, and what you're doing is you're seeing an entire propaganda campaign on the other side of it to take your attention completely away from those facts.
That's true.
I mean, that's really what it is. And now they're playing with the kids. This whole battle with parents in school boards.
Yeah.
Man, the videos have been intense.
You got the woman that had her kid taken from her.
Yeah.
Was that in Texas? I believe that was in Dallas, Texas, was it not?
But this
Yes, it was Dallas, Texas.
It completely falls into line with the whole it takes a village versus it takes a couple of parents.
Right.
All of a sudden
right.
You're now really adults are just become breeders and everybody else raises your kids.
Right.
Well, and that's like the school teachers, the two school teachers that got canned over your parents are stupid.
Yeah, the whole
thing.
And
because then they had that one guy in L.A. had an Antifa flag in his class.
Yeah, that knucklehead.
Yeah, he was basically telling people that he's not teaching children; he's creating revolutionaries.
Revolutionaries.
That was his exact words on camera.
Yeah.
So,
and when they feel comfortable enough to do that,
he actually had a pretty genius plan until somebody recorded it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And so anyway, that's where we are with this stuff. I mean, we can go on and on about it, and I'm sure we will at some point in time. But
it got way more excited there at the end, though.
Yeah, it did.
Well, yeah, that's because I'm just so tired of the bullshit. I'm like, just tell me what you want to do and let's play.
Once the stopper was out of the genie jar,
yeah.
Man, well, let's stick a fork in it here. So
done.
All right, guys.
See ya.